So today we're going to dive into the Ahatterya Upanishad. It's this incredibly profound ancient text, and it tackles some of the biggest questions you can possibly imagine. Like what is all of this reality we're in? And maybe more importantly, what's our place in it all?
All right, so check out how this thing starts. It just hits you with this line. In the beginning, this was the self alone. Nothing else whatsoever winked. I mean, wow. Just think about that for a second. Before anything existed, there was just the self, a single unified consciousness. And that last part, nothing else whatsoever winked, it's such a poetic way of saying there was no independent movement, no life, nothing separate going on, just pure, dormant potential. And that leads us to this really mind-bending question. What if the Big Bang wasn't, well, a bang? What if it was a thought? That's the core idea we're going to unpack. The Aitareya Upanishad imagines a universe that isn't some random cosmic accident of matter and energy. Nope. It's a deliberate projection from a single conscious source. It's a totally radical idea that puts consciousness, not stuff, at the very, very beginning of everything. Okay, first up, from ritual to reality. To really get what this text is saying, we've got to kind of jump in a time machine. See, this wasn't just some philosophy cooked up in a vacuum. It was born from a massive shift in how people were thinking about their relationship with the divine and the universe.
So we're talking way back around the 6th to 5th centuries BCE. This text is part of the Rig Veda, which is Hinduism's oldest scripture. And you have to realize what was going on at the time. This was a period of huge philosophical awakening all over the world. We're talking around the same time as the Buddha. So this text shows up right in the middle of this incredible explosion of new ideas, and it marks a real turning point. And here's the big shift it represents. The earlier period was really focused on external rituals, these big fire sacrifices called yajna that you'd perform to connect with the gods. It was all very outward. But then the Upanishads come along and just flip the whole script. They basically say, hey, the real sacrifice, the real work, it isn't out there. It's in here. The whole practice moves inward, becoming mental, contemplative. It was a journey from outer ritual to inner reality. All right, section 2, the universe from consciousness. And that focus on the internal leads us straight into one of the most incredible creation stories you'll ever hear. This is not about gods playing with clay. This is about consciousness itself dreaming up a cosmos.
The process is described in 3 really elegant steps. First, there's just the self, alone, nothing else. Then that self has an intention, a thought. Let me now create. The text actually says something that translates to, he envisioned it. So the whole universe literally started as a visualization, and then boom, step 3. From that single act of will, the worlds just sprang into being.
And it didn't just create one world, but 4 distinct realms. Let's start with where we are. We exist on Mara, the mortal realm, and its name literally means death, so yeah, that's our spot. Above us, you have Marichi, the realm of light and energy, like the sky. And way up top is Ambas, the causal waters of pure potential. Then, underneath everything, is Appa, the lower waters, kind of a subconscious foundation. So we're literally sandwiched between these vast cosmic forces.
Okay, section 3, humanity, a home for gods. So the stage is set, the cosmic realms are there, but the creator now needed actors to inhabit this stage, vessels for the cosmic powers to actually experience their own creation.
So these divine powers, you can think of them like fire, which would become speech, or the sun, which would become sight. They all needed a body to live in. The creator first made a cow and offered it up, but the deities basically said, nah, not gonna work for us. It's not sufficient. So, okay, back to the drawing board. Next, the creator tries a horse, a symbol of power and vitality, but again, no dice. The deities rejected it too. It was powerful, sure, but it still wasn't the right fit. It couldn't house the full spectrum of what they were. And then finally, the creator fashioned the human form. And when the cosmic powers saw it, they exclaimed, Sukritambat, which means, well done indeed, this is a masterpiece. They knew right away this was the perfect home. And so each one entered their proper place. Fire went into the mouth and became speech.
The sun entered the eyes and became sight, and so on.
So here's the crucial point. In this worldview, the human body isn't just a biological machine, it's a microcosm of the entire universe. It's uniquely designed to be the vehicle for consciousness, not just to experience the world, but to achieve self-realization and understand its own divine nature.
So, let's move on to section 4, the trap of 3 births. Now, being this cosmic masterpiece sounds pretty great, right? But there's a catch, a big one. The Upanishad explains that this perfect vessel is caught in a powerful cycle, a trap that keeps the soul bound to this mortal world. The text calls this the trap of the 3 births, and it's this cycle that defines our existence in the world of samsara, that endless flow of life, death, and rebirth. So the cycle works in 3 stages. The first birth is when the soul becomes the seed in the father. The second birth is the one we're all familiar with, coming from the mother's womb. But it's the third birth that's the real kicker. That's what happens after this life ends. The soul is born again into a new body, and the cycle just keeps going. So how do you get out of this trap? Well, the Upanishad gives us the story of this amazing sage, Vamadeva, who had this profound realization while he was still in the womb. He says the cycle felt like being held down by 100 iron citadels. But through knowledge of his true self, he broke free with the speed and power of a hawk. He achieved liberation, even while he was still living. And this brings us to the philosophical peak of the whole text, the final chapter. We've got a universe made by consciousness, a human form built to house it, but we're stuck in a cycle. So now, we get the ultimate question that solves the whole puzzle. The text poses this really fundamental question. If fire is doing the speaking, and the sun is doing the seeing, then who are we? Who is the I that's actually experiencing all this stuff? What is the nature of the observer behind all this activity? The Upanishads lists out all these functions of the mind, perception, will, memory, desire, all of it. And then it makes this radical claim. It says these are not separate things. They're all just different names, different expressions, for one single underlying substance. And here it is, the grand conclusion, one of the great statements of Vedanta, Prajnanam Brahma. It means that single substance underlying everything is consciousness. The ultimate reality of the universe, the force that dreamed it all into being, is pure awareness. And this is the most important part. That cosmic awareness is identical to the awareness that's within you. So we end with this. The Aitareya Upanishad isn't just some ancient philosophical text. It's a direct challenge to our own perception of who we are. If the very consciousness that's processing these words right now is made of the exact same stuff that created the entire cosmos, what does that mean for our everyday lives? What does that mean for who you think you are? It's a question that echoes through thousands of years, inviting us to find the universe not out there in the stars, but right behind our own eyes.